Welcome to the Hustle or Bust podcast powered by Paverart. Our mission is simple: to dive deep into the world of entrepreneurship, small business, and all the success, struggle, and challenges that need to be confronted in the pursuit of growth. We celebrate the entrepreneurial spirit, but perhaps most important, we want you to learn at least one idea that you can put into action immediately to make your investment in time worthwhile.
What comes to mind when you hear the term hazing? A lot of people will think about college fraternities or sororities, the all too often humiliating practices to try and gain membership to a group, a fraternity or a sorority. But guess what? This practice goes on in corporate America as well, particularly in the talent selection or interviewing process. We dive into that topic, these long, drawn out, often humiliating experiences that candidates go through, from personality tests, multiple rounds of interviews, ghosting, you name it, and we talk about some potential solutions. This is not how you want to behave as a small business owner. We dive deep. This was impromptu, and forewarning, there's plenty of adult language in this episode. We got fired up, but we hope you enjoy it nonetheless. Give me your talent selection thing in interviews. What's on your mind?
I want someone that I think can interact with whatever team they're going to have to be working with. Okay, I like. It doesn't mean I'm looking for extroverts all the time. I mean, it can be an introvert, but it's, we've got an introvert here. But every word that comes out of his mouth is gold.
He's multiple. John and Brian are classic introverts.
Oh my God, the insights are off the charts. Stuff that I would never think of.
For example. Give me a for example.
This has happened between John and myself on more than a dozen occasions. I see a problem, I see an issue, or you come to me and say, Mike, we got to do something about this. Please let's get Brian and John on the same page here. Can you handle this for me? Of course, that's my job. Or I'll see something, and this happens at least 3-4 times a week. And I'll go in, and John will be in his office. I say, John, I got a problem. I've got an issue here, and we need to deal with it. Can you, and I'll lay the problem out, and I'll say, in my opinion, I think we need to do this, and we need to do these 3 things. And John will say, John's response will be, no, I get it. Yeah, that makes sense. But I'm not so sure that the solution to the problem is going to get solved doing number 2 of what you're talking about. And here's why. And when it's funny, when he it's almost like he's gotten into the thought so quickly and comes up with a very reasonable response, and I can't deny it. And he's right. His insights are really, really, really spot on. And Brian's the same way. A lot of Brian's insights just come from experience. John, who's been here, 3 years? Mm-hmm. That's a reasonable amount of experience, but it's nowhere near the amount of experience that Brian has. But his insights are still there. Now, some of the, I don't go along with everything, but the bottom line is, if you tried to find that during John's interview,
you're not going to find it.
You weren't going to get it. Okay? Now, we were in a bad place when we hired John. Okay? We had a string of bad employees that just taxed both yours and my last nerve. And we were desperate to find somebody that we could trust, and turn our back on every once in a while and not have to worry that the machine was going to fucking blow up, okay? One of the cutters was going to blow up. John turned out to be that guy. And I told you, for the first 6 months that he was on the job, about once a week or once every 2 weeks, I would go and say, I'm just waiting for the other shoe to drop. He's an axe murderer, he's got a record or some whatever. But that never happened.
But none of this was predicted on the interview.
None. Zero. Absolutely zero.
And I could have made a case we hire him or don't hire him. Now he happened to have a big advantage that he was Army Reserves.
He was Army Reserves.
So that automatically gave him a mess.
I'll
hire somebody.
And a college education.
But I don't care.
Well,
Didn't matter to me.
that shows to me a very diverse background.
Don't matter to me.
No, I understand.
Army Reserves, I'll give somebody a shot. To
Well-
me, an Army Reserve is so much more important than the credential of a degree.
All right.
Well, that's just me. That's my personal opinion.
And in this particular case,
you're not going to get any points from me if you get a degree.
the degree and all the other stuff that he brought to the table, including being in the Army Reserves.
Right.
What was it, for 8 years or something like that?
Some number.
And being so young, he's well traveled.
But none of this was predicted. You're more positive on his resume because you now know him.
And that's true.
You didn't have this opinion 10 minutes after the
None.
interview.
It
well
was
traveled. That never came out of your mouth.
What did I tell you? Once every couple of weeks or so, it's like, okay, I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop.
Right.
Well, the other shoe never dropped, and he just kept getting better and better and better.
The lesson with that, talent selection versus performance and getting to know somebody. You can't predict people. You can't predict.
Yeah, but 8
performance.
times, 5 interviews. Come on, Mark. Look.
What are they trying to look for?
I don't know, but I can tell you this. I don't know what you're looking for, but you should have found it after the second interview. We give a second interview here, okay? The second interview is, here's the sheet of paper. Here's what you're going to make. Can you start Monday?
Right.
If the answer is yes, yes, yes to all those questions, you're hired. Look, I have a very good friend who's going through a very difficult time right now. And this friend is extremely experienced in the business that this person is involved with, and a service that can be, and it's a very high level type of service. It's a very, you're not going to come to work for Paverart. We don't need this person's services at Paverart, but large corporate organizations thrive, and not thrive, but they require this type of service. You get an interview today, right? You're waiting for the call back to see if you're going to get another interview. The next interview comes in 2 weeks. What the fuck is taking you 2 weeks to interview somebody for a second interview? And then when you're done the second interview, well, I'm going to need you to speak with so-and-so from this department, And then 2 weeks after that, you get a call. This person's what is this person doing? Give me a break with that bullshit. Look, you either need the person or you don't. If they get past the first one and they get past the second one, as far as I'm concerned, what else? What other little nuances are you expecting to get? Are you trying to piss them off and get them aggravated and frustrated from having to come in and do more than 2 interviews, for Christ's sake?
Let's say
explain this to me, Mark. You've walked those halls.
Right. Well,
okay? I've never done that.
Yeah.
Every job I've ever had, I go in, I interview, and I get the job the next day. I get the call either that night or the following morning. Okay.
Everyone, I call it corporate hazing. They go through 8 interviews with all these different people.
Corporate hazing.
Let's say that person, whoever goes through corporate hazing and the multiple interviews, what does that tell you about? Let's say they get the job. What does that tell you about what their life's going to be like working in that company?
Oh my God!
Don't you think? Do they turn it off and on do you think they make decisions fast at that company?
No.
Do you think they've got multiple layers of management?
Yeah.
That your thought on how to market a product or make a product or finance a product, do you think you can make that decision, or it's got to go through multiple committees, You're getting a insight into how they're going to operate when you get that job, if you get the job.
We're not.
And by the way, if you like that bureaucracy, there's the company for you. You're seeing it play out. I hope the person that's going through 8 interviews loves bureaucracy, loves slowness, loves bigness, loves titles, loves hierarchy, and they love internal politics. If all those is yes, 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 they're interviewing for the right company. If all that is no, then why are they going past round 2?
Yeah.
Because you're going to be in a world of fucking hell.
But
why do they do it? Because they need the job. That's the best opportunity to go. So they're going through the process.
And by the way, do you think your self-esteem takes a hit?
Absolutely it does. You're getting judged by all these people that got no business judging you.
And then eventually, after the 5th interview, you get we're going to keep your name on file. Fuck you.
Look, I'll tell you.
you.
I've been through executive round interviews where they do personality assessments with corporate shrinks that come in and they interview you. And I'm like, And I could
Hey, look, if we're hiring a CEO or a CFO or a COO or a CMO, okay, I get all that bullshit, okay? Then that's important.
Look. Let me put you. Imagine sitting in front of a shrink for 4 hours and then them going through your childhood background, trying to find the trauma and all this stuff.
Right.
How do you think that's going to play with me? I can go through 45 minutes of that, and then they wear my ass down. They're waiting to freaking get under my skin.
Yeah.
So, I'll give a quick look. Executive shrink interviews for, let's just leave it at that, 4 hours. And they're... Tell me about your fourth grade experiences, Mr. Oliveto. And I'm like, and I'm thinking, I'm the CEO of this company, right? And I'm thinking, they're trying to find trauma. I'm like, tell me why you're asking that. No, I ask you the questions. All right. So now I'm getting pissed, right? And I'm going to have some fun. I'm going to fuck it. Well, let me just have some fun with this. And then going through the whole thing. And on hour 4, I'm worn down. And they know they're going to get the most honest answers on hour 4. It's designed to wear you down.
Yeah.
Tell me what your weaknesses are. And I'm like, oh, this is a good one. I knew this was coming. Well, to be honest with you, I'm pretty fucking good at everything I do. and she's typing away at the laptop, right? And I'm like, you're recording that, aren't you? And I knew they'd be recording it. And they're thinking, oh, he's got arrogance issues. He's got over self-confidence. And I'm like, what a fucking shit. So they're going to write up, and she's typing away. I thought every single thing that I'm saying is being recorded. And it's going to be a 50-page book on Oliveto as CEO and all this shit. And then the logic test. And I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
Jesus, you do the same. This is what cops do with suspects that they suspect of murder.
So do I have experience
robbery
in the corporate hazing? The answer is yes. And it's and right there, that sends a message right there. If they need a 50-page report from a corporate psychologist, along with an SAT type logic test, instead of looking at the
let me tell you
something,
buddy. It's wrong. I think it's wrong. Mm-hmm. And it's wrong because you're little by little destroying a person's not just self-esteem, but their self-worth. Holy shit. How many other people are you putting through this bullshit that are sitting for the same job? That are interviewing for the same job. This is, are you trying to justify your position in human resources? This is what you're going to do. This is how you fluff your feathers up every morning. Well, I got so and so coming in today. I am really going to fuck him. Okay, I am going to put him through hell or put her through hell, and
it's pathological.
It's what? It's psychotic. It is. Psychotic's the wrong word. Pathological is probably the better word. You're absolutely right. I don't know that there's a better way, okay? And I speak from inexperience in that respect, okay? Because I chose a different path. My brother didn't. My brother chose to work for big companies. You chose to work for big companies until you bought a small one, and then you bought another one. But it's unfair. And I don't think these people actually know when they open their mouths in those interviews and they're interviewing these. I don't really think that they have any idea that the people that they're interviewing, it's not the way you're going to treat them when they're on the job. If they're fortunate enough that you come off of your goddamn, high and mighty stool and hire them, you know what? I'm not speaking intelligently. I'm speaking from emotion right now.
But it's real. How do you think the person that's going through the 8 rounds feels?
That's my point exactly. I've seen it. I have seen this and how it affects people, and it doesn't affect them positively.
Right.
And the assholes that are putting them through it should know about it.
Right.
And by the way, if Mike Bull had to go through that, and I got to the 4th interview, and the person after 20 minutes looks across the table and says, Mike, we're of the opinion that I just don't know that you're going to be a good fit. You should have fucking known that I wasn't going to be a good fit after the first interview. What is wrong with you?
Right.
Okay? Telling me that I'm not going to be a good fit at the 4th interview, that's pathological.
Right.
That's pathological.
So why do they do that?
You're just...
Why do they go through
I'm
that
angry
kind of
enough. I'm angry enough right now to say because they like to do it. Okay, are you really?
You think
is there a real benefit to your company by putting this person through that bullshit and through that nonsense.
Is it not?
I need to see I'd like to get one of these assholes on the podcast and just grill them for an hour and a half and say, talk to me about your job. Tell me, you're the guy or the gal that does the interview. Give me the reasons why you put these people through this track meet, okay, start to finish, that probably takes every bit of 10 hours, 2 hours an interview or an hour an interview, 5 to 10 hours. Explain to me why you do that. What is the purpose of that? Give me the science behind all that nonsense. And I want to hear the science behind it.
I've been involved in it, and I've had people that report to me interview people, and it's...
You interviewed me twice.
Relatively quick, too.
And my guess is you made some sort of decision to keep me here after the second interview, whatever that was.
But it wasn't a go, no-go based on the interviews. It was just trying to get to know you as a human.
Yeah, but it's an interview. Whether it's getting to know me as a human or not, it's still an interview.
True.
Okay? Had I come across, look, pal, you ain't running this fucking business without me because I know all the shit that there is to know. First of all, that's not my personality. Second of all, I don't know everything there is to know.
Right.
Okay? I mean, I worked with a group of people, and that group of people is what built this business, not Mike Bull.
Yep.
A group of people built this business. But you were sharp enough to see something, and you went back to your wife that night and you said, you know what? I'm keeping Mike. I want Mike to stay. Mm-hmm. Okay? And I will be forever grateful for that. Okay? But at the same time, you did it after 2 interviews. The first one
was lunch.
Yeah, and it wasn't a long lunch either.
Right.
Okay, the second one was in the office, and I forget exactly. It was probably at least an hour and a half, something like that. But what I do remember about this is I did all the talking. Mm-hmm. You asked a few questions. You wanted to know about this and wanted about that. But you know me. You ask me one question, and it's a 20-minute answer. Okay, and unless you stop me, I'll keep going. But that was you could make the point. I could make the point that was a life-changing experience for me. I could have very, very easily lost my job at the age of 65, and I'd have been hard-pressed to find another job if I needed to or I wanted to. And I didn't want to leave. I wanted to stay. And I don't think I verbally said that during the interview. And you never asked, okay? But 2 interviews that lasted maybe a grand total of 2 hours, and you made a decision. And it was a very important decision for you and a very important decision for me. What is all this other bullshit going? What are these people? We're not talking about people, a person who's bought a business and is trying to decide whether to keep an employee or not. We're talking about somebody who's making $60,000 a year, who's responsible for, they work in the HR department, and they're responsible for interviewing. We're going to set you up with some interviews, Mr. Oliveto, and our first interview is going to be with Jan Noyce. She's in our sales and marketing department, and she does our interviews for sales and marketing. And I'd like you to meet her at 2:00 next Thursday. Okay, great, no problem. An hour and a half later, man, that interview went great. She was very positive. She was up. She was very. You could tell from her bodily cues that and the way she was talking and her tone of voice that she accepted everything that I said. And so, Mom, Mr. Alvito, I had no idea. Look at this. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience with L&M Foods? It's wow. You started this business. You assumed all this debt. Blah blah blah. The second interview comes around. You're not seeing Jane Noyce anymore, okay? Now you're going to see Mike Elger, okay? Mike's a ball breaker, okay? That second interview, he's the guy that you're probably going to be working side by side with on a lot of projects, okay? And he wants to make absolutely sure that you like bourbon. Fuck you. Fuck you and the horse you came in on. That is just, to me, that's unconscionable. And I know I'm downplaying a lot of this, but I can't see any other way. I just can't see any. I'm sorry.
The one positive, by them.
Please give me a positive.
I'm reaching here for positives, but the one thing is they're taking it seriously because they know the people aspect is important, and they want to win at the people aspect, and they think that this process that you're talking about will minimize the risk and increase their odds of success because they know the people thing's important.
Right.
That's the positive for it. The underlying thing is assumption is that's going to that process that you're talking about is going to actually improve the odds. I believe, as you've witnessed firsthand, it doesn't improve the odds. I believe all of that is bullshit. That you're not getting a real person, you're not seeing them in stress, you're not seeing them in the real world.
Gotcha.
The real world is 7 o'clock on Monday when the machine doesn't start. And why doesn't it start? And you're hanging out having a cup of coffee with the person and you're seeing them in the real world.
Right.
That's a completely different environment. It's the real world. It's when the customer bitches them out and says, why don't I have my product? And what the hell? And then that moment is the moment of truth. You don't get that in an interview. You can ask them about how you handle stress. Tell me about a stressful time and how did you handle it. It's all bullshit. It doesn't translate into the real world of performance. So I don't believe you can project out. And by the way, I also believe if it's successful, I'm going to work with this person for a decade plus. I don't think short term. So how many hours is a decade plus of working with that person? A lot of freaking hours.
Right.
So how in the world... Now, I know when you go to the doctors, they take a vial of blood. They don't take 12 gallons. It's a sample of blood that tries to project out. But I just don't believe the hour-long conversation or the 8 hours is projectable to a decade-long relationship. I believe that evolves around time.
What did you say?
Time.
You told me this is not the first time I brought this subject up. And again, I have a close friend, and I've had other friends go through this rigmarole, and it affects them.
Sure.
It affects them. My whole point of bringing this up is, if there's anybody out there listening to this that's in that position, the interviewer, look, you affect the lives of the people that you're interviewing, okay? If they get the job, everybody's happy, okay? But if you're interviewing 10 people, 9 aren't getting the job.
You know who's happy is the...
And you don't put 9 fucking people through 5 goddamn interviews and make them wait for responses.
Well,
what is the point of that? And then but the other ones I like is the one where you get to the second interview or the third interview, and then they ghost you. There's no response at all, and you're on pins and needles. And by the way, you got to make you got to make your mortgage payment. You got to make your car payment. Your kids are going to school. You got to buy food. And it's This is not a good thing. To me, this is stupid. I mean, this is stupid and ridiculous.
In the world of the bell curve, the top 20% of performers, the middle 60, 70, or the bottom, who are they appealing to with that process?
Oh, my God.
Will a superstar go through that process?
Maybe not. Maybe not. Because if they came after you...
You think I'm going to go through that process? Not to be arrogant here. I would want to understand the process, and I'll entertain it. But you're going to have me meet with 8 people that don't have decision-making authority just to render an opinion as they're going through a presumably hard day of 40 to 60 hours a week.
Right.
They're going to talk to me for an hour, take notes, and then give their opinion. There's no way I would subject myself to that level of ambiguity. Mm-hmm. What I would try and do, now I've said this a million times, now this is not advice for how do you do interviews or should you do interviews.
I know, I understand.
I would short circuit, and I'm like, look, why don't I just work for free for 4 weeks?
When you brought that up to me the first time, I thought that was such a great idea. Okay? Now everybody's invested.
Now,
everybody's invested.
Here's what I've done with that. Number 1, that would shock them. Number 2, it would take all the ambiguity off. And number 3, it shows you, look, why don't... That's not projectable, the conversation I have with the director of marketing. No, I just fucking work and join a team and I'll do it for free.
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't like me, kick my ass off.
There you go. And that, you know what?
And I'll learn something
What a great idea. Yeah. And by the way, I wasn't working anyway. Now I'm working, but I'm working towards a goal.
And I don't got to go through this stress, the bullshit, and all that.
Oh my God. You're good. And by the way, it's probably a shorter period of time.
What if they say no to that? What does that tell you about them? Why would they say no? Because it takes the control.
I'm going to be really...
It takes the ego and the control. They want to have control and power over you.
Thank you. That's exactly the answer to that question.
I'll work for free. You can see me for 40 hours, 80 hours. What's the right time? You like 8 hours, right? You're going to have me meet with all these people. That's 8 hours, right?
Yeah.
Why don't I give you 40? and see me in the real world. Isn't that more projectable?
That's a hell of a...
That takes the control right off them. That's going to make them uncomfortable.
I don't think you're the right fit. I don't think...
And don't you want to know that?
Fuck you. How do you know if I'm the right fit? You don't know if I'm the right fit.
Right.
But you'll know after 4 weeks if I'm the right fit.
So let me get this straight. You don't want to have me work for free for 80 hours. You'd rather have 8 hours in an unprojectable environment, and I'm going to go work for you? You would say no because that's going to make you uncomfortable and it puts the power on me.
Right.
And now you got this weirdo in the corner working for free kind of. Is he working on a team? Is he not working on... They can give you 30 reasons why they want to do that. But they don't like that control being abdicated to the person that they're interviewing.
Exactly.
But that's exactly what I would do. Now, okay, is that on... What if you got to make the mortgage payment and all that? Look, if I join a team, pay me for those 80 hours. Or let's figure that out. But I got a better way. Why don't you just see me work? Well, we can't. You got to go through this stuff. I'll do it for free. Just make it very uncomfortable.
I'm stunned at your answer. That is just that's very, very insightful. What a great idea. And by the way, would I do that? You're fucking A right. I would do that. I would do that in a heartbeat.
You'd rather do that than the 8 hours.
Yeah. Oh, are you kidding me? Yeah, exactly. And the whole time, and then you leave, and you're like, how did that go? Did she like me?
This is not a popularity contest.
Oh, come on. Of course it's a popularity contest. How many people do you think, well, it's not all a popularity contest, but how many people do you think doing the interview they've actually got 100% of the business's interests at the top of the list?
It's a crapshoot.
You know, how much of it is, can I work with this person?
It's all personal driven.
I don't like the way he dresses. You know, I don't like the way she talks. Fuck you. Okay? Look, had you come here and I had this hair and I had this beard, dressed the way I am, okay? The first time you're looking at me and I guarantee you, it matters. It absolutely matters. There's something in the back of your, no matter how objective you think you are, that doesn't. You put me next to a guy. Now I had my hair was short. I was nicely groomed. I knew the interview. I knew you were coming in. You know, I dressed casual. You know, had I looked like this, and then you put me up against somebody else, and you have to make a decision: am I keeping Bull, or am I keeping this guy? You're going to keep me, okay? Because of the way I look. And some of the things that I said. It's what you said before about a popularity contest is probably closer. And I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but teamwork, working with a team, being able to get along with other people. You know, look, your resume should point that out, for God's sakes. You know, if you've worked for a company for more than 8 minutes, and it's on your resume, there's a good chance that you get along with people.
Look, here, I'll give you optics.
You
were talking about optics there and how do you look and all that stuff. It's
right.
just that it's optics, right? So I used to make fun of the bankers who used to come through my old business with ties on and suits, and we're going into a wet seafood plant. I never got my head around that. I get the fact that they're bankers, but read the fucking room.
I know.
That makes people uncomfortable.
Take the coat and the tie off.
You want to make people feel uncomfortable? Go into a gritty environment with a freaking suit on. But the salespeople that do that should be shot. I used to coach salespeople. All right, what's the dress code there? You got to find that out. If they wear ties, unfortunately, you got to wear a tie.
Exactly.
If they don't wear ties and you're just hell-bent on wearing a tie, you got to have your head examined.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're a banker, a salesperson, or what.
Yeah.
But the number one way to create division among people or not common ground is to dress in a way that doesn't feel right. I've always loved the culture that has ripped jeans. I always use that as a metaphor. Give me ripped jeans. Give me a ripped shirt. Give me unshaven. Give me all of that because I don't give a fuck about what you look like.
Yeah.
I don't care about your degree. I don't care about your credentials. I care about who you are as a person and what you can do. End of story. No dress code, no nut. Clothes have been, in my first corporate job as an intern, 19 years old, Kraft Foods, it was suit and tie. Freaking miserable, but the whole place had suit and ties on. And it wasn't just suit and ties. The poor college kid had a blazer with the cheap tie, and then these guys with the freaking Armani suits over here.
Yeah.
There was class that you saw all around, right? And the executives had different suits than everybody. I mean, it was freaking, you were putting up barriers to human relationships just on the dress code. I love the Steve Jobs. I'm going to wear the freaking black turtleneck or the Mark Zuckerberg. I've got in my closet, all you're going to see is 50 black T-shirts.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to think about it. Perfect wisdom there.
Yeah.
Now, I believe in individuality, so if you want to wear a freaking nice shirt because you like that, that's your style, go ahead and do it. Knock yourself out. But to start making judgments on optics and credentials, which is what a college degree is. It's a credential.
Sure.
You have it, this person doesn't, therefore you must be better. Such bullshit. Really is.
I can't,
That's why I love why don't I just work for free? Let's see me in action.
What you just said.
I got the ultimate confidence in my ability. Now, by the way, if you don't have confidence in your ability, you kind of want to go through that popularity contest.
Well, if you're going through the interview, the fact that you actually went in, you're going through this, this hell week, a week being defined as 5 days, which means 5 interviews. Hell week is the fact that you're going through this. Of course, you've got confidence. You're going through it. All right. Interviewers need to be honest and straightforward. Okay. If there's an issue or a problem with something that you've said or done, bring it out in the interview. Okay. There's a way to say that. There's a way to say there should be a way to say that objectively and not being a prick. Okay, about it. Not sounding like an asshole or obnoxious. That's number one. Number two, don't drag out the process. The more you drag out the process, the more you destroy somebody. You really, really do. The person coming in for the interview knows what they can do. If they're trying to shine you on or bullshit you in that interview, if you're a good interviewer, you'll find that out in the first interview. And if that's the case, listen, thanks for coming in. We appreciate it. Here's the lollipop. Have a nice day.
Right.
Okay, great. Cut it off after the first interview. Don't put them through 2, 3, 4 interviews. Stop that nonsense. Stop it.
It says a lot about the company that's willing to do that.
You hurt people when you do that.
Right.
And by the way, not every freaking resume is 2 pages of bullshit or 3 pages of bullshit. They're not all like that. Some of them are actually substantial, and the substance that's in them means something. Okay,
It's a brutal process of bringing talent into organizations and how people do it. There's a wide range of people doing it different ways.
You come into me when you've talked to somebody because you've conducted most of the interviews over the last year or so. Okay, you'll come into me and say, "I kind of like this guy. I want to bring him back, but I'd like you to talk to him and maybe Brian talk to him." And we do that, and then we beat it up pretty good. And we usually wind up, unless it's, if they're not invited back, that there's a good reason for that. I mean, they got vetted on the first interview. And again, we're also not hiring, Wharton School graduates here. But at the same time, it's a team that these people have to work with, and they have to show an ability. They have to have some background, mechanical background. They have to show a willingness to do the kind of work that we do here, because it's not easy. You can usually find that out in the first interview. You get a little, and I can look at somebody and pretty much tell whether they're going to be able to work out here or not. I know that doesn't sound very good, but if you knew,
you'd be good on a jury.
If you knew what kind of work exactly.
I could spot a criminal just like that.
Oh my God! Can you imagine a jury of these interviewers?
Oh my God!
For these big corporations,
be a hung jury every time.
But exactly right, and they would talk each other to death. Anyway, all right. For whatever reason, I got on this jag this morning.
Talent selection is fraught with disrespect for humans. It really is. And that, by the way, because that is what you're describing is pretty common. It is a gap for small business owners to be a little bit more human in the process,
right? And
to rethink their talent selection process. It really is. I certainly think that finding the right talent that you don't know is one of the biggest crapshoots in business. I've said it all the time.
Well, what you told me was you basically said your success rate didn't change.
No. I've tried every method.
One
Case studies,
one
personality
interview
tests.
for personality test.
I've tried degree. I've tried credentials and value in degrees. I've tried case studies, multi-round interviews,
Right.
Personality tests, assessments. None of it has changed my batting average.
Yeah.
Humans are too unpredictable, and until you put them in the real world, you're not going to know. So I just believe that. So that doesn't mean you hire anybody and let them see it and fire them after 90 days, but you got to. If you believe that they're unpredictable, and look, after doing hundreds of it, hiring a lot of people, and I'm sure there's ways I can improve my batting average, but I've yet to find it.
Yeah.
So why bring people through a process that doesn't improve your batting average? Try and get to know them as a human.
A question well put. That's that's why go through it? And the answer, put them to work for free. And if it works out, pay them for the work they did and keep them. Okay?
That'll be
everybody
projectable.
wins.
That's more projectable.
Everybody wins. Now,
the other thing that if you're going for if you're one of these 90 people that got laid off at Scribe Media, which we talked about on a prior podcast, if you're good, you'll find talent, and if you use that, that's pretty freaking impressive.
Yep.
For any company.
Good point. Yeah.
Really impressive.
You will find talent.
Look, I'm good. I know I'm good. And I know you've got this process. I know why you have it. You want to get the right hire. I respect that. Just put me to work for 80 hours or would 100. So you think 8 hours of interviews is going to help your odds? Why don't I give you 24 hours for free or 30 hours for free? What would make you feel comfortable? That way you see me in the real world.
Right.
Make them uncomfortable with that.
Now, look.
If you're good, you'll do that.
Exactly.
If you're not good, that's a little bit more risky.
Well, and the assumption is that these people can move into a position, learn it in a reasonably short period of time. Whatever, forget about all the. I mean, I get it. Forget about all
the ultimate security in life is your craft. How good are you?
Yeah.
That as a business owner, as an employee, if you keep getting better at your craft, confidence tends to build. Results tend to build. Your ability to have breakthrough conversations like this that we're having, it just. Getting better and growing in life is just a good strategy. It gives you so much more optionality.
It's a wonderful strategy. You know what's part of the problem? References. Now, if you left your previous job because you're looking to improve your life, I think I can do better. But I did a great job in this previous, with my previous employer. And they know I did a great job. They consistently told me that. I consistently got bonuses. But if you go into them one day and say, "Look, I'm interviewing for some other places. I really, I don't see myself moving up as fast as I'd like to in this organization." Well, the guy that now has to go out and hire somebody to replace you, or the gal that has to do that, is pissed. Okay, they're pissed. Oh my God, I got 90 things on my desk I got to get done. Now I got to do this too. Not a good reference.
Right.
Okay? People need to be more objective about that sort of thing. Grow up. Be mature about that sort of thing. Don't be, you know what, they screwed me, I'm going to freaking screw them. No, don't do that. Be an objective human being for once in your freaking life. This whole thing is fraught with pitfalls that, the person that really does need the job. Yeah, by the way, a person that gets laid off, oh, yeah, okay, they should be able to call you should be able to use your previous employer as a reference. It's not their fault that they got laid off. That employee didn't put that company in a position to be where they are, where they had to actually lay them off. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you and I both know sometimes that's not the case, but sometimes that's a convenient way to get rid of somebody because you want to get rid of them and let them land softly as opposed to terminating them. But in a lot of cases, that's not the case. Anyway,
talent selection is hard.
I've gotten it off my chest.
Yeah, it's a tough
I
topic.
feel better now.
The stress round interviews, the corporate hazing, it just is one of the bad sides of business, and it is way too common.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate.
It's a gap for the small business owner to be something different. Yeah. That's the advantage of small business. Don't do that.
The unfortunate part of this is that, business is basically made up of people, and you're dealing with multiple personalities, multiple levels of experience and capability. It just, I agree with you. And at the corporate hazing, I like that term. That's because that's exactly what it is. It's like trying to join a fraternity.
I was just about to say that.
Yeah.
A fraternity where you got to compete to have friendship?
Yeah.
And they got to select you?
Give me a break.
And you got to go through all the bullshit that you got to go through?
That's right.
And I'm paying $50,000. By the way, there's a documentary on Netflix. It's called Bama Rush. They talk about Alabama rushing the sororities and all the crap they got to do and the pressure and the ranking of sororities and Greek life. And it is so nauseating. These kids are doing this. And the parents are spending money for them to compete for friendship and community. It is, and by the way, unpopular opinion. Oh, I went to a sorority. It was a life-changing thing. I have a fraternity. I love my fraternity brothers. I am clearly in the minority with that, but there is a degree of that. If I've got to compete for your friendship and go through all these contests and the money and the dances and all the crap, that just does not appeal to me.
Yeah, it doesn't appeal to me either. I went to a school. I went to
and someone's going to render judgment on if I can join their club or not. Fuck you. The horse you rode in on.
That's right. When I was at the University of Delaware, back in the day, fraternities were frowned upon by the general population of students, matriculating at the University of Delaware. The vast majority are not joining any type of fraternal organization or sorority organization. And back then, both of those organizations suffered as a result of that. I mean, that was back when independence was really, really treasured. And, the social voice of the 18-year-old was starting to have some impact, okay? People weren't going, oh, he's a kid, he's 18 years, it's just a kid. No, that started to change back when I was in school. And fraternities and sororities suffered, but they came back. Somehow, they came back with a vengeance. And you know what? I have no problem with a fraternity. I've got no problem with a sorority. I mean, they do what they do, but do I buy into all that nonsense? No, I don't buy into that at all. I don't see that as you're judging me.
The process you described.
You're the same age as me. You're judging me.
Your friend that went through the stress interviews, the ghosting, all that, all those things, the opinions.
Right.
How is it different in a fraternity?
None. Absolutely none. Absolutely none. We're trying to see if you're worthy of us. And that's what it smacks of. It doesn't smack of, you know what? Just based on your resume, you have everything we're looking for. Great. Then this will be a short interview and I'm going to get the job. That's the way I'd be looking at it. Because the resume, and if the resume tells you what you need to know, then all you're trying to do is make sure that the resume is accurate. You're trying to make sure that resume is accurate. And
so why the 8 interviews?
Yeah, exactly.
It reeks of fraternity.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Oh my,
we went dark.
Where did you get that dress? Where did that? Where do you shop?
Tell me about your upbringing.
Yeah.
What does your father do?
Yeah, but that's not coming out. That's not the questions that are asked, but that's what they're listening for. Okay.
It's the other reasons
they're
beyond
looking. They're looking for your fucking pedigree.
Right.
And that pedigree might be business oriented when you're talking about interviewing for a job 5 times, but they're doing the same thing that they're doing at the fraternities and the sororities.
See if they can invite you into the club.
Oh my goodness, where your parents live where? Fuck you. Jesus. Get out of here with that bullshit. It's interesting. Look at my brother and me. I don't think Kenny was ever in a fraternity, but we took different paths. I'm 10 years older than him. You're not going to get 2 more diverse people. You put the 2 of us in a room, and the people are going to there's no way they're brothers. That just can't be. They did not come from the same mother, okay, and father. Well, yes, we did, okay, and we've had various degrees of success as a result. But don't judge a person. You can't. You got to be skilled enough to go deeper, and you should be able to get all that done in no more than 2 interviews. Period. That's all I've got to say about it.
Yep. I love how we tied fraternity into it.
So do I. Yeah, so do I. And that's, what?
It could be more controversial.
That's good.
because when you have been part of a fraternity or sorority, these are passionate groups of people. They will die on that sword that's the method. That's the way.
Yeah.
That's the great experience because I was part of this group.
Well, as soon as the reason fraternities came up is when you used the term corporate hazing, because that's exactly what fraternities and sororities do. No.
They don't claim that, but anyway.
No, whatever.
We're going to get hate mail.
I don't care. I really don't care. I really don't care.
Either.
It's not fair. It's just not fair. And, a part of this is selfish because, and my brother's not like that either. I mean, he's very, he's built his team and he continues to build his team all the time. And that's why the business that he's in is so successful. It's because of that team. And I've seen those people. I've eaten with those people. These people are passionate about the business. And they love working, with my brother. They don't say for, they say with, because that's the way he approaches it. I'd like to think the guys here do the same thing. But, we didn't put them through hell when we hired them. We just didn't. So, anyway.
All right, good stuff.
Well, listen, we're wrapping this up. I got a sneaking suspicion this may wind up as another, as yet another podcast, episode whatever, 40-something.